I'm Ray from KJKP. You know, I'm representing the organization at this moment. The reason why we brought you here today is to talk about you. Not this isn't a campaign promotion type thing. This is like a way for the people to see who you are. You know, so you can just talk about yourself and just fill the people in on what it is, like fill the people on who you are, right? Pretty much, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm Kenneth Carpenter. I was born at Fort Riley, Kansas. My dad's a retired first sergeant from the military. When I was born, my dad was in Vietnam. He served 2 tours over in Vietnam. He was a military policeman. So I've always had a connection through law enforcement ever since I was a baby. Like I said, I was about 2 before I met my dad. From Fort Riley, Kansas, I was about 4 years old, and we moved to Sagami here in Japan, a military base there. And my dad was in charge of the MPs and the firefighters there. And as I went there until 3rd grade, and in 3rd grade, my dad was stationed at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And so I went to school there. My dad was in charge of the MP company and the prison that's there. So I got to tour the prison Saturday. So from there, my dad retired, and we lived in Topeka, Kansas, Richland, Missouri, right outside of Leonard, Missouri. So got to move around on the side of my life and enjoyed being in different communities.
So how did you end up in Jackson?
My wife, I was stationed in Fort Knox, Kentucky, when I was in the military. I met my wife, and she's from the Smith City area. So all her relatives are from this area here. So her aunts and cousins, all that stuff. She grew up in this area.
So you mentioned before that you ran 9 years ago?
It'll be 8 years ago.
8 years ago, and what was the main point of your campaign?
My main point back then was pretty much the same thing that I am campaigning for now. It's just, I'm not really politically connected. I'm a production supervisor with Ford. I've worked on automotive companies for companies like this and others for years. My job has always been to go into place and make them more efficient, work with employees, make improvements, and work myself. I've coached soccer and basketball, and I coach a 14U girls softball team now, even though we're not playing or anything.
So, like, if you were to say something to like a random person on the street, and like a summary, like what would you say? What am I trying to say, man?
When you speak with the community members, what is your message that you want to give to them?
Listen, I am just an everyday person like you and everybody else. I know that, like I said, I got into law enforcement inside of the city of Jackson. I haven't ever asked for a dime or anything from law enforcement. I like giving back to my community, whether it's the youth or not. You asked me about 8 years ago. I ran because I understood the youth were in trouble. I understood we had a huge drug problem here inside of Jackson. You've seen since then a lot of, I said back then, heroin was going to be a huge thing, and it did, because I've seen the results of dealing with people on the streets when I work at the police department, on the calls that we go to, that we were in trouble 8 years ago, and I knew it was only going to get worse, and it has.
So were you a sheriff at the time? Or?
No, I worked for the city police department.
Just worked for the city. Right.
So I enjoy the city. It's a great city to work inside of. The training that we get, the leadership that the police department has here, the officers that I work with inside of here, they are very good people. That's why I enjoy it. The reserve officers that I work with, they're everywhere. We have psychiatrists, people that are security guards all over that like giving back to this community, and we come out here with these officers.
So if the people were to get you into office, what would be one of the first things that you do?
One of the first things that I go inside of that office is, for me, is I want to make Jackson safer, and I want to rebuild the relationship we do not have as sheriff's deputies, as law enforcement inside of Jackson. I think the city does a little bit better because I go in there and they have a board showing all the interactions that the officers have had inside the schools and stuff like that. But we don't have that great relationship between the community, the youth, and the law enforcement. And unless we become a team and we all work together, you can't do it on your own. We've been doing that for years.
So can you give me 3 examples of how or what actions you would take to strengthen the community, strengthen the bond with the police force and the community?
For number one is, the first thing, if I go inside that department, I have to set that expectation between the officers that are going to be working for me, how we're going to treat people, and what we're going to do to interact with the community. We are, it's like yesterday I was at a lemonade stand with the youth. I was talking to a couple of youth. Out of all the police officers that have drove by, and only one of them has stopped and said anything to the kids. We're out here to patrol, and if you're not going to a call, you see things like that. That's, even with the rally that you all had this weekend, you had one officer stop by, and that was a city officer.
So, my thing is this. So if you were to get into office,
He wants 3, right? I only gave 1, so.
I'm gonna add in on this. So like, what I would like to see is like officers actually showing people and telling people their rights, like letting people know that they don't, like people that don't know their rights, the police telling them and providing that type of information instead of using that information against them.
So for me, this is.
Or lack thereof.
So this is how my intention was. I put it out 8 years ago. I said, teach them young, raise them right. For me, how we do that is, I just want the officers a half hour before school opens every morning to open up the doors. But from kindergarten through 12th grade, we need to offer things that are age-based. So by the time you get done graduating high school, your last couple of years, I want you to understand all the things that law enforcement's out here arresting people for, domestic violence, drinking and driving. So with that also, I want them to understand that the constitutional rights, you have the right to remain silent. So anything you say can and will be used against. I want kids to understand that.
But some people don't like know like that they can actually exercise these type of rights. So like look, I have a couple videos where I'm exercising my rights and completely shut the police down, and then they try to pick and like be like petty and try to find something that they can try to get me on. Like the other day, I was at the Foundry and there was an incident. I asked for his information, and he didn't want to give me his information. So like, but there was a get together. We were all gathered there, and there was a fight. The fight got broken up. The police came, then dispersed everyone, which to me is, violating our rights because we have the right to assembly. And I asked for all their info, and then nobody gave information except one officer.
And so that one officer, for me, my expectations out of the city and the same expectations out of the sheriff's deputies that would work for me is if somebody asks for your name or your identification, such as your badge number, that is your job to give them that. You're a public servant. If you didn't want people to know who you are, you got in the wrong line of business.
Well, the reason why I had asked is because we got dispersed. There was about 100 of us, and we all got dispersed. Well, they got dispersed. Everybody left, unknowingly left. But that's what I mean by the people aren't knowing that they have these rights. They're not aware that they can exercise these type of rights. So like, if you were to get in the office, the thing I would want to see is a clear communication between the officers and the people about their rights and how to go about exercising them and how to use them and how to implement them. Because I feel like a lot of people on this side of town, they have an idea of their rights, but they don't know exactly how to follow through and use them.
I believe that community members do know their rights, but I also think that community members' rights are in jeopardy when dealing with the police who are able to throw those rights out of the window when it suits them.
Or manipulate the person to unknowingly give up their rights.
For one, I mean, I wasn't involved in your situation
No.
with
It's
this
just
weekend with the 100
this
people.
Is this is just an example, not nothing pertaining to you, but I was just using it as an example. Like let's say somebody else is in that same situation where they want to get the police's information, and the police made it difficult at that point in time.
For me, what I would like to do with police officers that you're going to encounter, it's just like the business card that I've given you. I think that the officers should have their own personal business card with their picture on it, their information, their name and stuff, and on the back side of it, the case number that they're dealing with, that they would give you. I think those are good things to have, not only for several reasons. I would like to do that. Is one, when you go to the schools, you can hand those to the kids inside of the school, so that way they know who you are.
So back on what he touched on, so he said the 3 examples, you gave 1.
Okay.
So
Help me out. Remind me the question, because I kind of got enough of one now. So
what are 3 examples of actions you would take to strengthen the bond with the police force and with community members?
So for me, the first one I gave you, the second one, I've got a couple different ideas. The second one is I want an open dialogue with you guys, just like I said here, that we can come up with a place monthly that I meet with the public, and I'm listening. I'm here to tell you I am different than anybody else, and I'm willing to listen to you and your ideas just like that you had. And we work together. That's the key, is we're not working together. Nobody else out here is running saying they're going to listen to you to work together to better Jackson and make Jackson safer. Nobody's offering that to you. But me, you gotta listen. I learned that a long time ago when I went into the military, that everybody has an idea and you have to listen to everybody. You take those ideas, just like at Ford, you take everybody's ideas and you come up with the best solution working together. Not just me going in there as a sheriff and saying this is how you're going to do it, or this is what you're going to do. I'm willing to listen. Obviously, everybody I talk to out here in the county knows that we need change inside of our law enforcement. They're expecting something different. They want somebody that's community driven. They want officers out here that they feel safe to approach and talk to, or if they're being pulled over on a traffic stop, that hey, maybe they've met them, or they know them, or they've got a relationship because they're inside the community.
Like establish a rapport with people.
Sure, you gotta do that. I'm just a human being, just like you.
That would be nice to see on my behalf, because the police know me now very well. Now we're on first name basis, which is fine. But
do you feel like it's a good relationship?
Oh
or
no,
do you feel
I feel like it's very negative.
Okay.
Very negative relationship with the police. I feel like they're just waiting for me to mess up so they can get me on something, which I'm not gonna give them a reason. But like I use my camera and I watch. I police watch now, so that's part of my thing. And
As me being sheriff, I'm here to tell you, if you would like to come right around with me just to experience what goes on, I don't have a problem with working with the community.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I would do that.
If I get inside there, I'm more than welcome, you guys.
Can I-
come out there. This is your department.
Can I go ahead and ask you a tough question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Our first encounter, me and you, you explained to me that 8 years ago you ran as a Democrat,
Yes, sir.
but now you have switched to a Republican on the basis that you lost by, I believe it was a few votes in the grand aspect of things. So you transferred over to becoming a Republican in hopes of grasping those votes.
So this is me. So I vote just like you do. I vote for who I believe is going to go inside there and do a job to make a change. I'm not part of no affiliation to nobody. If I have any affiliation, it'll be because I'm with law enforcement. First of all, right now, the people that voted for me on the Democrat, they understood what I stood for last time, was being part of the community. And the same way with the Republican people and the Democrats that I'm meeting out here now, they understand they want change. So, give me a second. So for me, it's to be the sheriff, you have to be able to represent everybody. I don't care what political party, what religion you believe in, what your own beliefs are inside of life. That to be the sheriff, you have to you got to be bipartisan and everything. You got to be able to serve the community. You can't sit here and look at somebody just because they're Republican or Democrat or independent and judge somebody on that. I don't think that the sheriff, the judges, things like that should really be on the ballot because of a political party, but it is what it is. So for me right now, for the things that the Democrats have going on, it's kind of hard for me to, it's not in line with what I want to do. Because I think a lot of the things that we talked about, which is your constitutional rights, that's been that way for hundreds of years, are now being touched and played with, such as your right to bear arms, right? So I think somebody's playing with that with us right now. Your right to be in a business like this, somebody's dictating for us right now. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, if this could probably almost got closed down. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm looking at what each party's kind of standing for right now. And for me right now, it's just the Democrat Party's not in line with what I believe inside of right now.
So you say, I've heard you say that you feel like I feel about certain things. I have a personal issue with people playing the party lines.
Okay.
So why not run as an independent? Why switch from Democrat to Republican since you don't like what the Democratic Party is doing right now?
Because for me, I haven't really heard anybody in the independent party come out and say that this is their beliefs or this is, and maybe I'm uneducated but you know, for me, I've got friends that are Republicans and Democrats. I've sat here just like you guys have. I've listened to both sides, and I've watched different presidents come inside of there, whether Democrats or Republicans, and I've listened to everybody's views. And I'm not here to tell you that I might, if things go wrong one way or another, I'm here to stand up for what I believe in, that somebody's representing my rights and beliefs, and that's who I'm always going to go for. I'm not going to go elect somebody that is totally wrong, which obviously, you know, right now we have inside an office sitting down the street that you go to on a weekly basis. You know, that's not what I'm about. I can't go there and just vote for somebody. If it was just me and him up on re-election right now, if he was, what would you do? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm here to say I want to offer change, and for me, I want to offer change to both the Republicans and Democrats and meet their expectations of what they want out of the Sheriff's Department. And that's a community-driven, somebody that's making a difference. I don't want to defund or anything. I want to make what we do, what my job has always been inside of working for a business, is to go in and make the changes that are beneficial to everybody, not just some.
So you said that you don't want to defund the police. Are you willing to redistribute funds for educational purposes with the police and with community involvement?
I'm definitely willing to take my officers and go inside there and build a relationship with the youth. And like I said, teach age-based things to youth to try to keep them in trouble. There's a lot of organizations out here too that I want my officers to work with. They are a tool to me. They are a resource to me. If you're trying to save the youth or stop the gun violence or keep people off of drugs to get them the rehabilitation that they need, that is a tool to the Sheriff's Department that I have to advocate to pull all this together so that a way it works. I don't need to operate independently.
I have another question for you. The things that you just mentioned.
You said he was going to be easy on me today.
The things that you just mentioned have all been community issues, as well as police issues.
Okay.
What issues do you see in the police department that are strictly police issues on how they interact with community members?
So for me, I've only had a couple interactions with the Sheriff's Department. Overall, I've only had one negative encounter with the Sheriff's Department, and that was the last time that I ran. I was at my son's store, and the deputy came in there and voiced his opinion very sternly about me wanting to be the next sheriff and running against Rand. I see the endorsements that are going on outside. So to take an endorsement of somebody or to endorse somebody, for me, I want the endorsements of people that know me. not that just kind of know me. I want an endorsement that somebody like you come meet me and ask me questions, or somebody that's known me my whole life to endorse me, or the endorsements I see going on at the Sheriff's Department right now. I mean, what kind of endorsement is that right now after the leadership that you've had?
So, with that being said about the relationship between the police and the community, so I can firsthand say that I've been like victimized by police. You know, they've treated me like shit multiple times. Even now when I record, they still are very negative, very negative. And so my thing is, I feel like they need to be more like accepting of people recording them, openly recording them, because it is our right.
Okay, all right.
You know, we do. But some people don't know that. So our thing is educating the people on their rights as far as like when it comes to encounters with the police. So like people just getting stopped and getting unlawfully searched, they're probably giving up their rights and not even realizing it. And that's my thing. So like if you are to get into office, that is one thing that I want to see. Me personally is a way for the officers to communicate to the people about their rights, and quit fucking using their ignorance as a means to take them to jail or do something to them.
So for me, just sitting here talking with you, I've never had an encounter with you like that. So, and for me, what I want to do is make sure that you and the officers are both educated and build that relationship, so that way we're not out here impeding on your constitutional rights.
I got plenty of footage if you'd like to see.
So for me, what I want to do is make sure that everybody has the right to. If you're out here in public, you have the right to record somebody. You know, and these officers need to understand that if you're recording, there's nothing wrong with you.
It's more like the police being more accepting of it, is what I'm trying to say. Because whenever I break my camera out in front of the police, they're very negative. Very negative outcome. It's, last couple times it's been negative. And they're very aggressive.
And I don't know why. I mean, two things is they have body cams on and they have dash cams on in their car. And I know that with cameras, every angle shows something a little bit.
They should be very comfortable in front of a camera. The fact that I have a camera or somebody else has a camera shouldn't, shouldn't dictate how they treat somebody, but it does.
And it goes back to training. If that's that's what's happening to you, then that, for me, you need to be able to come see me as a sheriff when I'm in that office.
Yes, but I don't
bring your video to me.
Right.
And then, because you're going to have to educate me and show me what's happening to you.
With that being said, though, I don't feel comfortable going in there and talking to an officer and showing them this type of footage because of my past experience. So
I'm hearing this out of everybody.
Well, right, but
we don't have a community to.
So it's hard for somebody like me and others that have similar interactions with the police like me to come to the police and be like, hey, I have an issue with one of your officers. You know, like it's gonna basically fall on deaf ears.
It shouldn't be that way. So when people have complaints, I don't think that my department should be investigating their own complaints. I think that there should be independent people coming in there that are willing to step up and come down there and volunteer some of their time. Look at a video that want to make a difference, such as you two. I would expect that you to come down there and we all, 2 or 3 of us, take a look at the video together along with their supervisor, command staff, and agree that something wrong or that they did their job the right way.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we as a community, I guess we're kind of like pushing for like a police reform type thing, because like the way it's going right now is not okay by any means. With the sheriff's department and the Jackson Police Department, the way they're doing things now is not productive at all. Just yesterday, I got footage of them, 4 police officers or 4 squad cars for one lady, one little lady. I was recording, and he jumped out. He must have called back up, and he pulls up on me, jumps out of the car, instantly aggressive. Instantly, you're not involved in this, are you? No, but I'm recording, it's to my right, and he's upset. So like, that's what I mean. So like, stuff like that is what we need to change.
Do you believe that racism in the city of Jackson and in Jackson County, since the sheriff is the sheriff of the county, is a public health crisis?
I think that racism is a public health crisis throughout the United States. I think that it goes on, I mean, I've dealt with it my own self growing up inside of life. I've been called names when I've been inside a uniform inside of here, patrolling the streets of Jackson, you know what I'm saying? I kind of feel like it's kind of on both sides almost, you know what I'm saying? It's just not a one-sided thing, because how do you go calling me a name when you've never met me, you know what I'm saying, or know anything about me?
So with the police force, they usually, well, it's a underlying issue that police members stick with each other. Regardless of race, once you put on the badge, you're considered blue. You're not considered white, black, Mexican, whatever. How do you plan on changing the narrative that the community members look at the police in? How do you plan on changing that light?
Well, first, you have to get to know the officers, because when I put on that blue shirt, the guys that I work with that are the officers inside of here, they're black, they're brown, they're white. They're here to do a job, and the people that I ride with come here to give their best every single day. But you have to understand, they see the worst inside the communities inside of Jackson. They're the ones going to the homicide, seeing somebody killed. They're seeing kids killed. They're seeing people that are in drunk driving accidents killed. They're seeing the worst of everything. You have to give them some credit that they become hardened. If you see things like that every single day, like a soldier does in the Army, he sees it for 12 or 24 months. You take a police officer, he never gets a break from that environment except for the days that he's off. You guys as a community got to get to know these officers, because to say something about an officer, wouldn't it be like me looking at you and saying, hey, you have tattoos, so I'm going to stereotype you one way?
I'm gonna chime in on that one and say that I feel like it's their job to reach out to us.
Sure it is. That's
I don't feel like
absolutely 100%.
I don't feel like we the people should have to walk up to an officer on the streets and be like, hey.
But I want you to walk by them and be able to say hello.
No, I feel like they should be the ones.
Okay.
Since they're coming into where we live at and where we stay, I feel like they're the ones that need to make the announcement.
Remember,
like,
they live in your community
be like,
too.
hey, not necessarily, not all of them.
Okay.
So
No,
what I'm saying is, when they come around, they need to be the ones. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how's it going? Hey, what can I do for you guys? That's what it needs to be. Not coming through with a mean mug, with their glasses and their. You know,
for you see me and I say hello to everybody.
But this. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the police now. Because like when you're not around, I still have to be me. Like I still get harassed by the police.
So this is what I know, and this is what I bring to offer to you and everybody else. I understand continuous improvement, and I understand how to make changes inside of a business, because that's always been my job. I'm not the full-time regular police officer that does this and been trained one way. I go to work just like you do. At my work, I'm expected to meet the expectations of the company, to make improvements, to make money. That's what majority of the people do. That's what I bring to this police department. We will make those changes, but I will listen to you. I don't want you to just come to me with the problem. I want to hear your idea of a solution too while I'm inside of there, because you're the one that has the issue, right? So you have an idea, you have a suggestion. I'm willing to listen.
It's me and people.
I know there is.
It's me and people like me. So
I know there's an issue.
So like,
and I can promise you
I can show you how the police treat me with the camera around. Okay. So like, just imagine if the camera wasn't there. You know. So you can imagine how it could be.
Okay.
All right. So, and it's the same for a lot of people in my community. You know.
I understand.
So like, when officers come around, they already have this like thing already Like they established this like dominant trait about them already, and
So
it's
for me,
not
how
okay.
I would
It's
approach
not
this
okay.
right now, I understand what you're saying.
because they're using,
You're being harassed
they're
about
using-
video stuff.
they're
I
using
understand that.
they're using intimidation.
Okay.
They're using intimidation and the lack of knowledge to get over on people.
Okay.
To,
So
to
let's.
lock people up, to put people away. These police officers in Jackson are manipulating people and lying to people and abusing their rights by people not knowing.
Well, you don't.
Because I've been told multiple times, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Okay, so and these people are falling victim because they do not know.
Okay. I understand.
And what I'm saying is the police need to make sure that these people are aware of their rights before they start intimidating people and start using all these tactics that they've learned.
Ken,
You know,
I have one more question for you, and then
Yes, sir.
I think I'm done with the
I think I'm
questions.
gonna be done too.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to meet your guys' expectations. I'm listening to you. So for what I bring to this table to cover what you're saying is I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to bring an officer inside of there. I'm willing to bring somebody from his command staff. I'm willing to invite their union inside of there. And we all talk like this. You bring people with you that have the same experience and idea. We all need to sit down, have that dialogue together, and come up with the best solution to re-engage my officers, to make sure they understand the expectations of the community, and that's how we're going to make that change. So, but it takes community involvement. It also takes meeting the expectations of the public, because I understand out here campaigning right now, all the people that I've talked to, they want some type of change from their sheriff's department. They want a community-driven police department or sheriff's department like we used to have, where we were, that you knew the officers from school. They could come up to you and they could say your name out on the street because they've met you before and they've had positive contacts. Not the negative that you're having all the time, but a positive contact. I'm willing to switch that around for you when I get
I've
inside
only
there.
had like a handful of positive encounters with police.
Well,
I'm not gonna say like all my encounters were bad, but
I've had many positive encounters with the police.
yeah, I've had
many.
encounters,
I've had
but
many.
I've had more bad.
Okay, well, we need to turn that around because, like I said, I'm just like you. I know what my expectations are for me, my family, and you as the community.
I guess another thing that I would like to see is like if somebody was to be able to walk up to an officer and actually get some type of like help. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not like, well, you know, he's gonna treat it like a job. Yeah, I know it's a job, but you know what? You signed up for that job.
Like I told you, I had to take them resources together because I don't think these officers understand from me going out here, meeting the people inside the public, that they're saying, hey, I work here, or like I've just got done talking to the gentleman at Lifeways this week, and we're talking about doing something together where I can interact with him, that he can help out. I've talked to another lady that somebody's introduced me to. She was prior military. I've talked to Jackson Gun Violence, Save the Youth, things like that are a key resource. And we've got to rebuild that relationship. You're already telling me that nothing that I haven't heard before. The relationship's not there. It's not there. And so it's our police department. It's your police department. It's my police department. That's why we all pay taxes.
Question: I don't want you to give me the typical cliche. Education is important. Training is what we need. But I want to touch on training for the officers, because if you're elected sheriff, then you have your hand in that cookie jar. Right now, in America, you have to go to college for more hours to become a hairdresser than a police officer. To cut hair at Paul Mitchell, to cut hair at Supercuts, you have to go to school longer for that than to be given a badge and a gun and the responsibility to either take lives or not. So how do you feel about the training that is going on now in the police departments? Because this isn't, a lot of people want to just group it in with black, that we're only concerned about the black lives, but this is a citywide epidemic. The issues that are going on in the police department. and the sheriff. So if you want to become our sheriff, then that's a Jackson County position, not just a city of Jackson position. So what training would you do with your officers to handle opiate addictions, to handle mental illnesses, because they report to those calls as well, not just the murder calls or the drunk driving calls. They report to all calls.
Okay. So for me, the question that you just got done asking, I don't know a whole lot about the sheriff's department because I have not worked there. I've served inside the city police department, where the city police department, the chief is very invested into training, because since our current chief has stepped up inside there, my training has gone tenfolds over what it used to be with the prior chiefs that were inside of there. We do a couple of trainings as far as, you know, the rights of people, the policies of the police department. We do training on different scenarios that you're put inside of and how you interact with those scenarios. We do lots of training at the range to make sure that we're being safe with what we do. Before there wasn't a whole, now there's a whole lot of safety involved in what we do at the range and stuff like that. The training at the Jackson City Police Department, since I've been there since 2003, has gone from this to this. And so for me, the same thing at the sheriff's department. I've got to go inside there, I've got to look at their budget and see what kind of money is involved inside of training. Because training is a huge expense, because when you do train, you're taking somebody off the road so that way they can go train. Like in a business where I'm at, sure, I can pull, you know, everybody from one shift that we're working together and I can go train for an hour. But I can't do that at the sheriff's department because I can't leave the citizens of Jackson unprotected and vulnerable to different situations. So it's going to have to be set up differently. I've done training inside the military. That was part of my job. I was an instructor inside the military, and I've watched the training go on here at the Jackson Police Department. I would like to work with other agencies throughout the county here, so that way we share those resources in training and we all kind of work together. So if I need to step up and involve all the departments so that way we kind of train as one, I think it's a good idea.
So there was one training technique that I've heard in the news and throughout America is de-escalation training.
Sure.
So I honestly believe that police here need to have some type of de-escalation training.
Sure.
Because I've seen, okay, take the fight at the Foundry, for instance. The people had the fight broken up and handled before the police even realized that there was a fight. Okay, then they finally broke it up and then dispersed everybody.
Okay.
So then I asked for my info, and then the rest is history. But the thing is like they're not trying to de-escalate the situation before they act. They're just coming in.
I will say
authority.
that incident, that the police were dealing with an attempted murder in the Foundry. So
well, then that kind of is it's not just a simple little, if it's an attempted murder, that's not a simple way, you know, he slapped him and it's kind of over with, even though somebody's been assaulted. You know what I'm saying? The police officers is still going to work for me. I want them definitely community driven. I want them treating people right, no matter which situation they come up to. But if there's a crime, it's still got to be solved.
So,
you know
what I'm saying is they need to be, I guess the police officers need to learn how to take a step back from the situation and evaluate it before acting, because the footage I have them just responding to the situation, not stopping and asking a question about what's going on. They're not like trying to talk to people and hash it out with other people and get all the information together. They're just reacting and then they're asking questions.
So for me, that's where we have to build that relationship, and we've got to retrain how we deal with you, and then I want the community to understand that when you get called to, I don't know the situation, but if you're talking like he said, an attempted homicide or murder, it kind of steps up.
How we're gonna get the changes that we're asking for, and how we can hold people accountable for those changes.
So
You know,
for me, like I told you,
so
I've always
like you said, you want to come in and help change the police force up. Like, so whatever you plan on doing, we need to have a way to hold you accountable for that.
sure.
You know what I mean? So like, if you come in and make a bunch of changes, positive changes, which is fine, yeah, but we have to find a way for us to hold you accountable if those don't happen.
So this is how changes work for me in the business world. For me, when I make a change, I have to, in the automotive business, I have to, within 16 months, we take notes from the changes that we make and all the things that we come together and do. Within 16 months or sooner, we reevaluate those to make sure we didn't miss anything and we're still continuously doing something better. And there's always room, no matter if we fix something, you always readdress it because times change and there's always room for improvement. No matter if me and you fix something here today, a year from now, things change and we might come up with another better idea. That's we revisit things. We just don't say, hey, we made a change, drop it, throw it away and say it's all fixed. That's not improvement. That's not how you fix things. I just bring together real world experiences that I have through the military, through working out here in the real world, like with you. That's what I bring to it. I don't bring the traditional, hey, I'm a cop, I know how to do things one way, because I agree with you. It's embedded in every police department on how you do things, unless if you have a chief or a sheriff that says, hey, I want to take the department this direction or that direction. I want to take this department.
So with that being said, everybody in the community knows the issues right now with the police department. Okay?
Sure.
So I guess this video is to try to show people what type of change you can possibly bring. And that's the point of this video. And
I appreciate you guys inviting me down here. I don't have a problem with talking and speaking with people. That is a job as a sheriff because he represents the community. And he also is the leader of the people.
So with that being said too, so like if you were to get into office and your workload would rise,
Sure.
but we would still want you to be able to take time out and still be able to talk to us like how you are right now. 'Cause like, or if it comes to us coming down there and talking to you,
Sure.
but the communication would have to stay the same.
Sure. For me, I have to devote I like being out here on the road because this is where the community is. I like being inside the schools because I went to substitute teaching full time back in November. Just so that way I could start campaigning and being out here. I wasn't expecting the COVID to hit where I would be laid off in March time frame. You know what I'm saying? So it was going to give me the opportunity to come out here and campaign while school is out and stuff. So I want and I represent change. You can hold me accountable for it because I've already set this dialogue. We've gotten to know each other. I know who you are. You know who I am. I'm just a regular human being. This is how I meet people, just like we met. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care if you've done something wrong. You're still a human being. I'm not holding things against you in your past. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to help people out. Whether you get in trouble with the sheriff's department, we need to come up with programs at the sheriff's department besides just lodging people, letting them sit inside that building for whatever it is, a year or less. You know what I'm saying? That's how most people are 2 years or less are sitting up here at our county jails inside of a closed up building. We need to bring programs that you are able to get your GED. So that would give me an incentive to maybe let you out a little bit earlier because you got your GED. We need to get incentives for the people that have all these resources out here to come in there and help you. You know, stay inside the jail. That one is to lock you up. You're coming back out.
So like as a sheriff, you would have some type of leeway or floor. So like I feel like if you do become sheriff, then I feel like that should be on you to like push for that as hard as you can, and for us as a community to back you up.
That's what we call teamwork right there. The community and the sheriff working together to accomplish something for the better of Jackson County.
Can I get you to look at the camera and speak to the viewers?
Yep, I can. I'm sorry.
No.
With him, so I'm not.
That's how I've been filming it. Is that? Can I just get you to look at the camera and speak to the camera a little bit about your understanding about systematic racism?
Is it just focus on him?
Yeah. Just talk to us about systematic racism and what you see the disparities are have been created from the systematic racism in our community?
So for me, I just know a little bit about my own experiences with it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, do I believe in racism? No, not one bit whatsoever. And racism comes in all forms. Just because you don't like somebody because of their race or their religion or their beliefs in who their partners are. That's not me. For me, we're all human beings. We have to treat everybody like human beings, no matter what you do. That I don't look at anybody because of the things that you do in your life. That's your life. That's your personal life. I'm here to represent you as the sheriff, to make sure nobody infringes upon your rights or nobody treats you wrongly, especially if you work for me at the Sheriff's Department. It will not be tolerated that you treat somebody, if you're racist, you need to go find another job instead of coming out here because you took the oath. To come out here, you took the constitutional oath of the United States, the Constitution of Michigan, and the city of Jackson to represent all the people. That's why you put that badge on. That badge is supposed to represent good, that is here to help people inside of this community that you serve and that provides a living for you and your family. Those are my expectations. I do not tolerate any of that whatsoever, because if I tolerate it, it means you tolerate treating me and my family and my children that way. And I try to raise my kids to be the right way. And like I said, you've heard already somebody explain to you that my kid that works there is a good kid. He treats people the right way. That's why I've raised all my kids.
Would you, as a parent and as a sheriff, would you investigate, and I understand that it'd be a conflict of interest so you couldn't personally do it, but would you investigate a family member if accusations were arised? Like if I'm sheriff and someone says that my sister does something, regardless if she's my sister or not, it's still my duty to find out the truth.
Sure it is.
So
that's it. Nobody is above the law, not even my own self. I mean, if you do something wrong, you've got to be held accountable to answer up to what you've done wrong. Now it's your job to fix yourself inside of your own self, to take the unjust things that you're doing, and hopefully you learn from your mistakes.
I agree completely. I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody, and I wish you guys share my message with everybody out here. This is why I'm wanting to be the sheriff. I'm not wanting to be the sheriff because I don't represent no change. I understand we need change. Said it a long time ago when I've been doing this and got the experience from living in the military and out here in the civilian world. I want to bring about both of those worlds together for the common good of this county, because we know we need it, and we know that we have people suffering inside this county that we need to help. And working together with the community and the other political people that hold the best interest in this county, we all got to come together.
I agree completely. Thank you.